Going on, everybody? D Style and being Joe by Joe Calix. And of course, we have our guest, Glen Jennings, Manager Glen Jennings, manager of Team Tszyu 2. And of course, that means he's the manager of Tim Tszyu. How's it going, Glen?
Oh, great, boys. Good to see you again. 43 degrees here today. It's Australia Day in Australia. It's a very, very hot day. And I know you guys got a little bit of cool weather over there, but yeah, we're going to enjoy a nice hot day.
So we got the beanies on. It's kind of
I
cold
wish
out
I
here,
could.
but
Yeah, I'd take some
I've
of that
seen
hot
that.
weather.
yeah, we got to keep a little warm. But we're definitely glad and happy Australia Day to you.
Thank you, mate.
There you go. What is that like? Is that kind of like your Independence Day? What is that exactly?
Yeah, Australia Day is our celebration of the arrival of the First Fleet, and Australia Day is a public holiday where everyone just gets to celebrate the the wonderful country that we live in. So it's a good day. It's the 25th of January, and January is our hottest month. So I mean, to get to 43 degrees, what is that with you guys? 43 is about 115 or something, isn't it? 110 or 115, something like that.
Celsius, yeah, I think that'd be about 110.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want it that hot.
No, and the difference out here, boys, you'll love this. Of a morning, you get your day's schedule on your temperature, and it says the UV index gives you like 1 minute in the sun before your skin burns.
So let me ask you: is it like a humid heat or like a dry heat?
It's more of a dry heat. It does get humid, but the humidity is not so bad. But literally, if you go out in the sun and swim around in the pool for 10 minutes, you're going to get sunburnt. And if you're out there for an hour, you're going to get sunburnt very badly.
So it gets cold and it gets hot in El Paso in the summer for sure. But
yeah, I've been there in summer, and you died over there in the summer.
Yeah, so like New Orleans, I think, has much better weather than us for the most part. But we don't get hurricanes though. We don't get hurricanes. We don't have to worry about any of that.
It gets humid here.
Yeah, I spent 3 months in Atlanta.
I think we lost Glen Jennings for a second.
Damn, that humidity for that Olympic Games, that was just killer. It was hot and humid every single goddamn day over there in Atlanta, and it's just oppressive.
That is very impressive. So, you guys are not tuning into the Weather Channel. You are tuning into a boxing channel. Shout out to everybody who's tuning in, by the way. You're probably wondering, what are these guys talking about? What? But so look, let us know your weather, by the way. I'm just curious, everybody in the chat, what degrees you are over there. Glenn, the rumor was, and it stayed steady for a while, although there's just rumors that it was Lubin. Lubin's the fight. It's going to definitely be Lubin. My sources told me it's Lubin. I'm just reading all this stuff, right? All over the internet. What happened with Lubin? Because just to add this, when it was, I think it was Australia Boxing tweeted out, Lubin's out of the running, and Lubin tweeted out, oh, that's news to me. I've been waiting on my contract, right? That's what he said. What happened with the Lubin fight?
I seen the same tweets go out, and how I read it was Lubin was out, and then I read that Kevin Cunningham tweeted that I don't know which order it was in, whether it was Erickson or Kevin, but I know they both tweeted at the same time, and they sort of contradicted each other. One of them said, "That's news to us. Nobody's contacted us. We haven't had any dialogue with Team Tszyu or anything whatsoever. There was no offer." And then whether it was Kevin that said that or Erickson, I just can't remember. But then the next line was contradicting that line was that Erickson or Kevin said, "We were just waiting on a date." So I don't know how you can be waiting on a date if there's been no discussion or no offer. And so we dispute that. There was definitely an offer. There was lots of discussions through our promoters and PBC who represent them. And at the end of the day, my understanding, and again, I'm not directly involved, it's third party from my promoter, was that we were going along beautifully for the Lubin fight. And then when it got down to negotiating the prize money for Ericsson, he asked for a lot of money, and that stalled it dead in its tracks. And that's all I know, to be honest. And then it was our promoters said we're moving on. Lubin's out.
So he was the initial target, though, Lubin.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was our go-to guy. We actually were. It was a little left come from the left side to say it's not going to happen, and the only explanation I got, because it wasn't that long ago and it was pretty quickly moved on because we couldn't have time to waste, was that it was tied to a money thing. Now, whether that is 100% true, boys, I can't say. I'm not accusing them of anything, but they're entitled to negotiate whatever deal they see fit. But the deal didn't happen, and of course, Keith Thurman came into the picture and got the deal done very quickly.
How did that start? How did he get into the picture?
I think the best way to explain that is that when our promoters are dealing with PBC, there are multiple names with PBC or even without PBC that are constantly talked about for potential fights. We don't just we tend not to just go and have a chat about one person. We talk about this fight, option 1, 2, 3, the next fight, option 1, 2, 3, and even a third fight, 1, 2, 3, to get into the game early and get things moving, because traditionally things stall over there and it's very difficult to get a fighter into the ring. So we have multiple options and multiple sticks in the fire, and Thurman's name was in there, not in the top row. I mean, you guys all know, you've seen all the stories. We've been talking to Terence Crawford's people. We've been talking to PBC, but we haven't left Charlo off the hook. We're still pursuing Charlo every week to say, what's going on? Where is he? Is he in hiding? Is he not going to fight? So we push all the buttons, and hopefully we land one of those options. And in this case, we were fortunate enough to land a good option in Keith Thurman. For our plan, it's a good option. Lubin or Thurman would have been great fights, and we're looking forward to it.
So the and D-Style, I'll just jump in, but I wanted to ask this, since you mentioned it. There were rumors going around that you were talking to Bud's team, that there was talks back and forth. I think both sides pretty much confirmed that. So that is not just a rumor, that was happening, right?
No, that's not a rumor. That was happening, and no need to hide that away as a rumor. To be honest, boys, the big names are contacting us to see if we can get a Tim Tszyu fight done, and I think 2024 we will probably exercise those options. Being the sort of guys we are already looking at minimum 3 fights for this year, and they could all be very, very big names, and that's how we would like to stage it. It's just a matter of, as you know, get this one done. Matt and I have already moved on to the next one, and so. Happy to keep you guys informed as it all rolls out, but Tim's just got to keep on winning, and while he does, the interest will be there.
When did you basically know that it was going to be March 30th? Around when did you know that? Okay, I can't hear him.
I can see you.
Are you able to hear us? If you could hear us, we can't hear you. You may have to exit and come back in. Can't hear. Let me try this. Let me choose something. Let me message him. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Things happen.
He might just have to exit and come back.
Yeah, I just messaged him, so he'll have to, I guess, exit, come back in. It is what it is, but very interesting. How Keith Thurman wasn't even in the top priority, he just kind of became it. All right, can you hear us now, Glenn?
I got you back again. Sorry about that,
Yes.
boys. Not sure what happened there.
You're
Not
good.
sure. Now, I was just asking, when did you kind of know that March 30th was the date?
As you know, we were trying for early March to run alongside the big NRL rugby league promotion in Vegas, which is on the 2nd of March. So that was our initial plan, but as I said before, it was a bit protracted, the negotiation, and March 30 came out around about 2 weeks ago, that date was available, and so we grabbed that at that stage, saying, "Look, we'll get this deal done." And so, yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Now we do have a question from the chat here. DJJ551 says, question for Glenn: will the boxing politics in the U.S. make it difficult for Tim to have his preferred 2-3 fights per year?
Oh, look, it can, and you can look at that as there's a history of the politics making it difficult. We are somewhat fortunate that most of our competitors are aligned with PBC, and we have a great relationship with them. So, provided Tim keeps winning, and provided Tim creates the environment for people to want more and more, I think we'll be okay, mate. So. We always have the luxury and the option with our promoters, No Limits here in Australia, to, if it becomes too much of a quagmire and we can't get to one of the American boys, we can always do another show here in Australia. But we'd like to be doing 3 in the US, so that, to answer his question, yes, it's a bit of a roadblock, but we're very, very determined, and we're very, very diligent, and we'll just keep on pressing buttons to get it done.
Now, as far as the fight being like pay-per-view in the US,
Yep.
did No Limit have a say in that, or was that mainly PBC decision?
Yeah.
And who made the decision for it to be pay-per-view?
Yeah, I think it was a mutual decision. It's an interesting one that, PBC launching a brand new platform with Amazon Prime. I think, in all reality, mate, it's like anything. If you're going to do something on that level with that financial commitment, go big. Whether it's a roaring success on pay-per-view, we will do everything we can to sell it. I'm sure Keith will, but I'm pretty sure PBC wouldn't want to go onto a brand new platform on anything less than a big pay-per-view. So good luck and congratulations to them. We're very excited to be part of it. But I imagine, mate, if you're going to launch anything in America,
you got to go big. But I guess because I am seeing a lot of criticisms about the fight, although fans complain a lot. But there's a lot of criticisms about it being pay-per-view in the U.S.
yeah,
I guess some feel it would have been better to kind of maybe put it on just regular Amazon for more people could see it.
yeah, that's a fair comment.
Okay, so like, is that the plan, to just have Tim on pay-per-view fights, or is that just, are you going to go fight by fight in regards to that?
No, fight by fight, mate. Not necessarily. I think we. I would put it down, the pay-per-view, down to the fact that it is a debut. It's an inaugural thing for PBC and Amazon Prime and No Limits. So I get that. I mean, I also get what you're saying, that it probably isn't, in terms of the two boys' names and where they're at, considered a mega fight. It's a big deal for us, don't get me wrong, but in terms of Spence Crawford and Canelo and those guys, that's a pay-per-view market that is well accepted, and I understand there would be some criticism of it, but that's business, mate. And as Tim's manager, I would never knock back a pay-per-view opportunity in America. So I'll take it with both hands. I'm excited for it.
Glenn, one of the rumors, and it may be official by now, I haven't seen, but the catch weight of 155, is that true?
It looks to be the case, mate. I haven't updated that with Matty Rose from No Limits, but it looks to be the case, based on the fact that the WBO have moved that way, based on they weren't. I'm assuming that they weren't satisfied that they could put Keith into those rankings to make it a world title fight. The exact answer on that I don't have for you, but Again, I try not to get too much involved in that stuff. For me, the fight and the appearance and everything else is more important. But yeah, it looks like it'll be that. I think that'll come out and be announced officially. But I'll let the powers to be do that.
Now, you did mention if there's any hiccups or anything and trying to get a fight, you always have so you're open to going back to Australia if necessary. If that means having to keep Tim busy.
Yeah, look, it's just part of who we are. It's almost like a creed within our team that inactivity has no place in our area. We always worked on that, and he's had 25 fights in a reasonably short career, and that works for us, and that works for Tim. His personality and his lifestyle is he wants to be busy. He wants to be focused on fighting. He literally asked me the day after Mendoza at breakfast, righto, who's next? What are we doing? Blah blah blah. I said, can I have a couple of days off? And he said, no. That's who Tim Tszyu is. He's just a machine. He just wants to fight. It's a rarity. I love it. It's a rarity, but I don't get any frigging days off, which doesn't help. But
so you're already. I'm assuming you're already working on the next fight, like you said. So I'm gonna just throw out some names because this is a name that's been coming up from a lot of people. Virgil Ortiz. A lot of people have been asking us, ask Glenn about Virgil. Ask Glenn about Virgil. Ask Glenn about Virgil. Is he one of the names that's being floated out with along with a Bud Crawford and guys like that, a Mel Charlo, as possible going to the zone?
He really is, mate. Virgil Ortiz very respectfully called Tim out after his last fight, and Tim replied and said, "Yeah, look, I'm always up for a great fight. Let's see what we can do." So Virgil's in the mix. There's quite a few, mate. There's another big name in the mix as well, which is Errol Spence. So we are literally open and accepting of anybody that thinks they can bring it to Tim and wants a crack at Tim. We will go through that motion and give them the opportunity to present what's on offer and how we can make it happen. And I think it's a good way to do business. You give everyone a chance and you have those little fires burning. And like I said earlier, if you can land one of those options, Tim Tszyu doesn't care. I've said this before and I don't say it lightly. Tim Tszyu does not care who it is. He has no fear of any of these guys. I know it sometimes sounds a bit like a cliche, but it's true, guys. I'm telling you, Tim is the sort of guy, and you'll get to, when we introduce him to the Americans, you'll see what I'm talking about. He's a different character, and I know there's some of them come through boxing, and if you want to get on the list, put your hand up. We will talk to you. And if you want to hide from us, we'll come and knock on your door. So we're about fighting, and I'm about keeping Tim busy, and inactivity does not work for us.
So speaking of inactivity, if I looked up inactivity in a dictionary, Keith Thurman's face will probably be on it, right? So like he hasn't been that active. I think he's fought once.
It's so true, mate. You speak the truth, mate. I appreciate it. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. But when you are a manager and you're trying to land a quality fight against a quality opponent with a quality name and a quality resume for an opening and a first opportunity to impress Americans, you have to look at realistically his last performance. It's okay to go back and say, well, he might have fought only twice in like 4 years, and the last fight was going on. Was it? I think 2. I don't even know. Was it 2 years ago?
2 years.
25 months. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So here's my point, and I said this yesterday. 25 months ago, Keith Thurman fought Mario Barrios, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it was a good fight. I think we all agree it was a very good fight, and I thought Keith Thurman was pretty impressive in it. Having said that, what's he done for the last 24 months? I don't know if you know. I certainly don't know. Is Keith Thurman that's coming to take on Tim Tszyu the best Keith Thurman we're going to see ever? Or is he somebody that's been partying and, having a great time for 24 months and just wants to come back. We don't know unless someone can tell me that Keith Thurman has done absolutely nothing for 24 months and is even to the point where he's not going to even be competitive. We don't know. We expect the very best Keith Thurman to turn up. And when you sign a deal to fight Tim Tszyu, you better be the best that you can be, because we will be 100% ready. So don't come with excuses. So I have to weigh that up. I have to say, well, yeah, I understand the criticism and fans are hard to keep happy, but the reality is none of us know what Keith Thurman's done in the last 6 months. Maybe he is in the best shape of his life and maybe he is going to come and shock the world. Who knows? But that's how it sits for me. That's how I determine it.
And I already know the answer to this question, but is there any concern that Tim may not get up for a Keith Thurman at this point, that he may not be motivated for this fight?
No concern whatsoever. Tim Tszyu knows that exactly how I just explained it is how our whole team feels. And to not get up and to not be in the right headspace is somewhat alien to these boys anyway. But secondly, to assume that Keith Thurman won't be the very, very best Keith Thurman is a foolish thing in this sport. So our mindset will be and stay on the focus to keep Tim where he needs to be. Not that he needs a lot of it, but certainly we will be constantly letting him know that, what plan do you have if Keith Thurman turns up and fights the fight of his life? And I often refer with Tim to what can happen to the very best fighters in the world when they do that. And I make reference to his father against Ricky Hatton. We did not anticipate Ricky Hatton would fight the fight of his life, but he did. And it's too late when you're in the ring, and it's too late immediately after the fight. So address that now, the elephant in the room, and say Keith Thurman will turn up and he'll be as good as any of these others that we're dealing with. So once they sign, we treat them as the elite. Whether they produce it is up to them, but we treat them as the elite.
So the other day, the day before the announcement, Tim Tszyu tweeted something to the effect of big names only. Would it be fair to say that he's happy with the development, that Lubin fell apart and Tim and Keith Thurman fell in his lap? Would it be a fair assessment to say he's happy that Keith Thurman is the fight as opposed to Erickson Lubin, since he's a bigger name?
I think that was a shot across the bow at Erickson Lubin, indirectly, just to say, because when you're Tim Tszyu, I mean, this is a little bit of a pattern now where they say they want the fight and then for whatever reason they find a way not to want the fight. Charlo did it to us, and now Lubin. Now, whatever reason Erickson Lubin pulled out, I've got no beef with that. If it's legitimate, no beef at all. But it does frustrate, and I think it's probably accepted that in terms of names and reputation, Thurman's got a bigger name, bigger reputation than Erickson Lubin. So it's true. Technically, it's a big names only. So for us, Keith Thurman is a recognised bigger step up than Erickson Lubin would have been. Both great fighters, don't get me wrong. Both bring different styles. But in terms of, would you agree that Thurman's a bigger name in America than Lubin?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah. See, we know that, but we have no reason to come charging out and say that. But Timmy had a little shot across the bow just to let him know that, okay, yeah, big names only. That'll do me.
Well, look, I mean, in fairness, Thurman is a former unified welterweight champion of the world. He's been in big fights, pay-per-view fights. He was on network television when PBC first came out. So he's had way more exposure than Lubin. He's definitely a bigger name, more accomplished too.
Yeah.
Whether it's a tougher fight, I don't know. We're going to see how Thurman looks on that night, because
I agree.
That's the mystery. But has Lubin been passed here? Like, did he miss the train, or can he still get a fight with Tim Tszyu?
Oh, look, I mean, he's still a fight. There's opportunities there. I guess, look, the management and the promotional side should operate completely separately. My job is to make it happen in terms of present to our promoters who we want, a list of names, and then allow them to go to work with PBC on who, and then they present to us and say, this is who we can get. We don't take Eriksson Lubin out. That's not right. Whatever reason he has, if they want another chop at it, they're welcome to have another chop at it. Whether or not it ever comes to fruition, that's up to the promoters to decide on who they think is the best options for the both fighters, whoever Tim fights. And there are some big names that are interested in Tim Tszyu. So, of course, with a big name and big exposure comes big rewards, big legacy, and big financial payouts. So I look at them all on face value, mate, and see which option we can land.
Okay. Are you guys all in with like PBC, Amazon, like this is where you're going to stay? Or are you open to, like, let's say a Virgil Ortiz fight on the Zone, or like a Xander Zayas maybe down the line against on ESPN with Top Rank? Are you open to going to other avenues?
There's a very, very good relationship between Matt Rose and Al Heyman, and I guess that comes off the back, mate, that the majority of our great fights and big fights are all PBC related, and that makes sense to develop that relationship. And you know how it works. Promoters look after each other when there's a mutual benefit. That's how it should be. But it does never close the door on opportunities for those outside of those relationships to present a really good offer. And if it can be done, we will look at that. I mean, I've got 2 fights in a 24-hour period with Liam Wilson on a Top Rank show on the 29th of March in Arizona, and Tim the following day. So No Limits work with multiple promoters, but in terms of Tim, nothing's off the table, but we're very conscious and very almost protective of relationships that will be beneficial to us going forward.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, go ahead. Now, I was going to say I only have two more questions for you. First, looping back to the Tim Tszyu fight, how does the pay-per-view work as far as the Australian market? How is that going to work out there? What's the price point out there? How does that work? And do you expect this to be very successful out in Australia? Tim Tszyu, I'm assuming this sells well in Australia. Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman.
Yeah, 100%. This is sort of the first time that the Aussies will get a look at a fight of this level for Tim in the US. There'll be a lot of Aussies that'll fly to Vegas for this. We know that. And so we expect pay-per-view to do very, very good numbers out here. It will most likely be priced at around about either $49.95 or $59.95. And that's pretty much a standard sort of cost for a fight of this level, and it's very well supported here. We only have a small population compared to you guys. I think we're at just under 30 million, and you guys are at 350 million. So, but we expect it'll be very good. I have no clue on what the numbers will be on the US side. All I can tell you is that for the next 8 weeks, we will do everything we can to help promote and sell that fight. And Keith Thurman is also a very good salesman, so that's helpful.
Liam Wilson, you just mentioned him, and I was going to ask you about that because last time we talked to you, you didn't have a fight lined up for him just yet. How did the Valdez thing? Because that's another fight. That's a fight of the year candidate type of fight. Everybody was excited to hear about that. How did that come about?
It's a great fight. It came about, for me, it was purely a phone call from our promoter to say, would you guys be interested in going back to Arizona? And I thought he was going to say, you know, there's a possible chance of a Navarrete rematch or whatever. And I said, of course. I said, we'll travel wherever we need to go for the right fight if it makes commercial sense and we can do it. And he said, what do you think of Oscar Valdez? And straight up, I said, we'll take that fight even before talking to Liam or his coach. So that's all it was, just a phone call. How it came about, I don't know, to be honest. I never asked him who started the proceedings on it, but being with Top Rank and and giving Liam another big exposure in the US and against Oscar Valdez. It's a great fight. It's a great opportunity for Liam to re-establish himself over there. I know he got a lot of fans off the Navarrete fight because he rattled your bloke over there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're really
Yeah.
excited for it. I'm not that excited that I've got 2 major fights in 24 hours. And Matt and myself will probably be private jetting it in between, back and forth, doing what we've got to do to satisfy both. But yeah, it's exciting for Liam, and I think if this one works, it'll really give us an opportunity at another crack somewhere at a world title. So that's the plan.
One last question. This is the last one I have. Is this the best spot you've seen Australian boxing in since you've been doing this? Because even like I was watching them Billy fight, that guy Murdoch had one of the best chins I've ever seen in my life. There seems to be a tough, different type of breed of fighter coming out of Australia right now.
Yeah,
if you look at the type of fighters that are coming.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Is this the best spot?
Yeah, I do believe that we're in a bit of we're coming into a golden age, and there's so many more to come, mate. I mean, I've got some guys with me. I've got 8 fighters with me, and some of these guys are going to literally, if they can produce what I believe they can, we will have a pretty good constant rollout of these murderous tough guys who just want to fight. And I think that is the fundamental difference. Is mentally in Australia we have always been a country of fun and games, but when it comes to sport, we are pretty, sort of insane. We have an element that we go to. And you said it with Murdoch, and you'll see it with Tim, and you'll see it with a heap of guys that are coming through, that they bring a whole different level of toughness. And it's exciting for world boxing because unless you have the tough guys, you don't always want to sit and watch a 12-round tap fest. I love to see them scrap. And so do the American audience. So I think they'll embrace Tim. I think they'll embrace all the Aussies because that's part of what we bring to the table.
Are there any no limit fighters that'll be on the card?
No. He's an interesting one. You guys are aware of Michael Zarafa?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He's on the card.
Interesting. They're going to be in the same room, press conference and everything?
No. Oh. No. Look, that's, Michael Zarafa's in our rear vision mirror, and, deep down, good luck to him. Hope he's fighting Lara for a world title. Mm-hmm. And there's multiple world titles on the undercard. So, not sure if the undercard's been released, but it's a pretty damn good undercard, and I can't even remember all the names, but it's been such a crazy week. But there's no other no limits fighters on it. We got our hands full with the 2 that we've got in 2 different states over 24 hours. So, I think it's going to be from a pay-per-view perspective, at least multiple world titles will help, and I'm sure Tim and Keith will do a good job on selling it. And we're just excited to get Tim in front of the American audience and let them see just what we've got.
Was there ever a moment in the last few months with the changes, like they left Showtime, there was rumors, and then they did the Prime deal? Did you ever have any moments of at any point that you said to yourself, man, we might have to come back to Australia until they figure this out? Was there any moment like that you experienced while you were waiting?
Yeah, there was, mate. And of course, straight off the back of Mendoza and ready to go to America, and we lose Showtime. I mean, that's. Then suddenly that we're in a line now because most of our opponents are with PBC, who right from that time don't have a platform. We're in a line waiting for PBC to do their business with getting a new platform and getting started from scratch before we can even talk about dates. So there was a degree of concern for me that would create some inactivity, and I certainly had many conversations about whether we postpone the launch into America and do another 1, maybe 2 fights in Australia to keep Tim busy. And that we would have done that. There's no doubt. The inactivity, Tim staying busy takes the priority. We were just very blessed with the fact that Al Heyman got the Amazon Prime deal done quickly, and credit to him for that. That's not an easy thing to do. And keep in mind too, fellas, this is a debut fight for a brand new platform, which is a brand new logistical nightmare, which is a brand new team, brand new builders, brand new everything on a pay-per-view. So that's a scary prospect, isn't it? You've got to deliver. You've got to get everything right, and it's the first time. So it's amazing. We're excited. We're doing debuts, and we're doing first times, and that'll be history stuff for us. So I guess if it didn't happen, mate, you guys would be talking to me about who we're fighting down here in beautiful Australia. But
yeah,
fortunately, our plans have come through. We've once again managed to keep Tim busy and keep him going, and that's a pattern that we're proud of. 25 fights and another 3 this year. So I know you guys are going to hold me to it, but I'm going to do my best to guarantee that you'll fight 3 times this year in America, all big names.
Okay. Now, given that Tim is basically the flagship name of No Limit, was there any issues with scheduling some other of your fighters until this deal got done?
Absolutely. Obviously, the date, when you lay your calendar out across a 12-month period, you have to be conscious of how do we fit the No Limits domestic dates into the international calendar, which is a challenge that we haven't had before. But we work through it, and we work very closely on a daily basis, and we've got great dates for No Limits. And we also have a second issue that comes into play, is that Tim and Nikita both share the same coach. So we have to be conscious of how do we get that to work in terms of dates and planning. So you can't have them, you'll not see them on the same card too often because it's too much of a stress on the coach. So we have to separate, bust them up, work out how we do that. And so you're planning 6.
Oh, I'm not sure what happened. We're on StreamYard. That usually means you got a phone call. That's what that means. But or saw something took over there. But I'm sure he'll come back. I had like 2 more questions, so hopefully we didn't completely lose Glen Jennings. I want to thank everybody tuning in. By the way, we definitely appreciate you guys. I'm not sure what happened. Let me message him really quick.
That's StreamYard for you.
That's StreamYard for you, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm not sure if he's. Was that you, Calix?
It wasn't.
Okay.
He might be gone.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He just saw my. There we go.
There it is.
There it is.
That's what it is.
Where did I drop off there, boys?
Yeah, you dropped off. You were talking about the
Nikita and the coach.
Nikita and the coach.
Oh, yeah.
That's why
Yeah,
they're
so
never on
that's-
the same card. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just another little logistical issue that we have to deal with, is when you've got 2 fighters with the same coach in the same gym, they can't, we've got to be fair to the coach, and we've got to keep those boys separated. So in terms of dates, Tim first, Nikita goes into the alternate dates so that we can fit that in, and then the rest of the fighters come in around all of those dates. So interestingly, I think one of the things that we can talk about later is over the next 12 months to 2 years, that I think you'll find that No Limits may well be pushing the button as perhaps having the best stable of fighters. You know, when you compare to DAZN and compare to Top Rank and all of that, No Limits have got some very, very, very strong up-and-comers that are going to continue on and follow the Tszyu boys through the gate. So it'll be interesting to see where it all lands.
So obviously we know we're gonna get Tim Tszyu on PBC, Amazon. I'm talking about stateside over here.
Yep.
And I know I had mentioned this the last time we had you on, like with No Limit. I think one of the issues here is that we don't get to see any of their other cards, right?
Yeah,
There's,
it is a problem, isn't it?
yeah, and I think the issue is exposure. Like, for example, just the other day we watched the card in Japan when Inoue fights. We wake up at 5 a.m, whatever, to watch him fight.
Yeah.
Like ESPN will put on some cards in Japan. I know the other, I forgot the name of the other promotional company in Australia. They're on the Zone. Their cards will like they're on the app right there.
Tasman Fighters.
Yeah, Tasman Fighters. That's correct.
Yeah, yeah,
So like, I think anyway, it's not really a question, just a statement of mine.
yeah,
I think it would benefit No Limit to have some type of deal with one of those streaming services, even if it doesn't include Tim,
yeah,
but to have their other cards. Because I watch the highlights. They're great fights, a lot of
yeah,
great knockouts, and I think people would tune in, and it would be an early prelude for their future, right here
yeah.
in the States, anyway.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm sure that's in the back of their mind. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if it's already in process, mate. But I think where the wheels stopped was having to move on from Showtime. It was like a whole new world having to be recreated. And so I think that's probably. And look, who knows? It may be that Matt does a deal somehow or other with Amazon Prime to use their streaming service now that he's, so, and someone told me they got 166 million viewers.
Yeah, they're large. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's massive. So that might be something that he's looking at. Again, I tend to stay within my lane and not go too far outside. I've got enough to do, but I'll certainly just mention that it was brought up again that the Americans want to see more and more of our guys.
Just one more boxing, that's all. We have ads on the chat asking, who is Nikita fighting next? And any word or a possible opponent?
Just in the process of working on that now. There's a couple in the mix, and we're also Nikita's coming into camp with us, and the boys fly out on Tim flies out on Monday to go into camp in the US. Nikita will go to Thailand and do a couple of weeks of strength and conditioning and then join us over there. So that's in process. I don't have a name for you yet, but Nikita will fight here in Australia on a pay-per-view as the main event, and it'll be possibly towards the end of April. So I'll keep you posted on that when we've got someone.
Any word on where Tim's training camp will be located and sparring partners, anything like that?
No, and if there was, I couldn't tell you anyway.
Yeah.
Like Cal wants to like sneak up on him or something.
Yeah, you know how it works. you boys are always welcome to come and have a coffee and a look. That's not a problem. I'll always look after you blokes. But generally speaking, we're very, very security conscious about what we do in terms of preparation at this level. It's all very much the business of boxing for me, and I keep it very, very tight.
Now the one thing about boxing fans, just in general, but especially in the U.S., for the most part, a lot of fans aren't happy, just in general, with the boxing landscape. Tim Tszyu is, in my opinion, very refreshing. A fighter that's coming, he's active, he's saying all the right things. I just want to say this, or ask you this. I don't know how much you can answer this, but how serious are the Tim Tszyu conversations, but your conversations with Crawford's team? Like, how serious are these conversations?
They're very serious. We want that fight. Make no mistake. We want that fight, and we will make that fight happen when we can, when the time's right, and when it makes commercial sense for both boys.
Okay. And I asked you this last time, but I'm just going to reiterate because people are still putting this information out there. So it is what it is. Is there any obstacle on the location? Like that could happen in Vegas, no problem?
No problem.
Okay. There you go.
Location, unless it's friggin' Minnesota and -30, will never be an issue.
And nobody wants to fight in Minnesota. What's going on?
Oh
But
my God. I'm never going back there. Never. That was the coldest, bloody, miserable 2 weeks. No chance. But look, just to reiterate that, 100%, if those fights can be made through the promoters and it makes sense and the timing is right and all of the, there's not a lot of things, there's not a lot of boxes that need to be ticked. It shouldn't be turned into a soap opera. It's basically, is Tim available? Yes. Is Bud available? Yes. Can we work out the commercial deal? Yes, we can. Is everyone happy with it? Yes, we can. Is it cool to do it in Vegas? Yeah, absolutely. Let's get it done.
okay.
And so we're not hard to work with, and we're very, very proactive in getting things done.
Yeah, like I just don't know where the I'm sure you heard Oscar, right? When Virgil said he would like to fight Tim Tszyu,
Yep.
and Oscar said, "Oh, we'll go to Australia."
Yeah.
Are you open to that? Like, is that in Australia,
100%.
Virgil Ortiz?
100%. But keep in mind, Virgil Ortiz we have to have something come to the party. I mean, what's on offer for Virgil Ortiz versus what's on offer for a Errol Spence or a Bud Crawford at 154? Virgil Ortiz is a great fight. We know that he's a skillful fighter, but in the big picture, do we break what we're doing on our American program to come back to Australia? Maybe, if it makes commercial sense. Would the promoters support that to send that fight back to America? How do you get your revenue streams for Virgil Ortiz? All of that stuff comes in. Or do we fight Virgil Ortiz in America? It may be. This is how simple it can be. Let's say there was Errol Spence, Bud Crawford, and Virgil Ortiz are the three brands in the fire that we've got bubbling along. And for whatever reason, Errol and Bud can't make it or it doesn't come together, and Virgil Ortiz does, so be it. We take that fight and we move on. That's how it works, mate. It's not rocket science. We're not those guys that make things difficult. We want to fight and we want to keep Tim busy and show us what's on offer and let me see it, let me look at it, and let me establish that it's legitimate and that you actually want to fight, because we're getting a bit tired of those who say yes they want to and then choose not to.
Makes senth makes sense to me in a way, but
yeah, I don't know if it makes sense to everyone else, but end of the day, I've got to get Tim busy and keep him going, and I need fighters to do that. I need opponents that are prepared to actually get in the ring with him, and that would be wonderful. And I know our promoters at No Limits feel the same way. We've actually in a great position. Tim's positioned beautifully now for unifications, for ultimately getting to perhaps fight for other belts at 154. If not, we've got great names at 154. And we've got other blokes coming up from 147 that want a piece of it as well. So our options right now place us beautifully. We've got quite a few options where a lot of the other boys and some of the American boys don't have that luxury. So we'll see where it lands, boys. It's just exciting for me. I'm really proud of everything that we've achieved, and I hope that we can just keep on winning and keep going forward and keep entertaining the American audience. And I hope that we get to re-engage with all of our Mexican fans, because Kostya had so many of them. They loved him, and I'm sure that they would love the opportunity to see Tim Tszyu up close and personal as well.
Yeah, for sure. I was one of those fans, so there you go.
Yeah.
I was mad at him for a while when he beat Chavez, but I got over it, and then I just kind of moved on. But
mate, you were mad at him. What about the crap I copped for 2 weeks over there off the Mexicans? They hated us.
Look,
good.
Obviously, I know you meant. It sounds like you're planning to stay in 154 for a while. Look, I've studied a lot of boxing history, and the middleweight division is a historical division, but it's kind of dead right now.
Yeah.
When do you think 2 years, 3 years more? Like, when do you see Tim moving to middleweight?
I won't put a year on it. What I would say is that we cleaned out Australia. We're coming to clean out America in 154. We'll take everything we can out of the 154s, everything, and then we'll look at 160.
Okay.
And in terms of who it is and when it is, bring it on. And once we get, and I don't mean to be cocky or arrogant or anything here, it's just how we do it. It's just we'll take the risk. We'll go in and we'll do what we can do, and we'll put on the absolute best we can. And we intend to clean out the 154s, whoever's there in our way, and then we'll go to 160 and clean that out. And if anyone wants to, prod us for 168, down the line, and Tim feels he wants to have a crack at that, we'll do that as well. There's no doors closed. Everything's open. Opportunities are there for everyone to have a crack at, and we are excited about being part of it.
It all sounds great. Glenn, before we let you go, any message you want to, you as the manager of Tim Tszyu, what can you tell the American boxing fan as to why they should tune in and buy this fight?
Two things. For those who remember his father and how he fought and the carnage that he created in America, and just revert back to the Zab Judah, go and pull it up on YouTube and watch it again. That level of excitement is about to hit the American shores with Tim. Don't think for 1 minute that the nice, mild-mannered, humble kid from Australia is going to come to America and sit quietly in the background. We're coming to make lots of noise, and we're coming to cause as much carnage as we can, and we're coming to take it all. And this calm, humble kid is a murderer and in the ring. And those who think that he's not, 24 have come and all said it, and 24 have failed. So we are prepared to take all comers, and we will give you a whole new character to support in boxing, and his name will be Tim Tszyu, and people now remember his name.
There we go. We definitely want to thank you for your time, Glenn, and we'll catch up. You have a great one.
You're always welcome, and I look forward to having a coffee and meeting up with you boys face to face in Las Vegas, and we'll enjoy this one, and we'll talk again soon. And thanks for the opportunity to spread the gospel of Tim Tszyu.
Well, there you go. Have a good one. Enjoy the weather, Glenn.
Good on you, boys. Great talking to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Well, there you go, Calix. The one and the only Glen Jennings. Look, the fight's going to happen March 30th, T-Mobile Arena. There's a poster, by the way. And I think, it is what it is. We also Raleigh, I guess Cruz is official. They confirmed that. So it's going to happen. Even though Floyd tweeted out that Raleigh was going to fight Ryan. Did you see that?
Yeah. No.
I don't know. That's why Ryan thought it was going to happen, but it is what it is. Hopefully it's a good night of fights. Anything else you want to say, Cal, before we wrap this one up?
No, I'm just happy about activity and names. Obviously, they want activity, they want names. And I was speaking about an hour ago we started an hour ago, so it was about 2 hours ago with a boxing insider that everybody would know on the phone. And he said, the most important thing I want with Tim Tszyu, and the thing that I'm afraid of the most right now, is that when they come to America, they're going to start to face some gridlock with some of these American fighters and not be able to stay active. So I would hope that they have options available and other plans available in case these other fighters cause this gridlock, and they can go back to Australia for a fight. But I want to, this is what the insider's telling me, I want to make sure that this guy's still fighting 3 times per year, that he's that type of fighter. And it's good to hear from Glenn that that's the plan. Just keep him active and don't allow the American fighters in the American market to force gridlock in a promising fighter's career.
What I will say about Lubin, I'm not losing sleep that it's not Lubin.
Me neither.
It is what it is.
Me neither.
But I will say this, man, would it be something if it's that Crawford fight? Man, that's a massive fight.
Ooh, that's
That's a-
big boy. That's big boy business right there.
That's huge right there. That would probably be like if there was a Super Bowl for that could be the Super Bowl for boxing.
If I could pick one fight, I think that would be it at 154. I think
154. That's the fight. Like
that's the fight
for sure. Yeah.
It was Mel versus Tim, but I feel like Mel's time. We talked about fighters' times passing. I feel like Mel's time, and we talked about this the other day, right? Like the dynamic at 154 started sort of changing, right? You now have some super talented fighters moving their way up and into 154, and I felt like Mel was sort of the toughest of the really good fighters. But now I think Bud's the guy, and I think Tim is the guy. So I think that's the fight now.
Yeah, and John, I understand that about Nikita. We just got to see him on U.S. television. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And hopefully we see him soon. You know what I mean? But very exciting to watch as well. So, hey, I want to thank everybody that tuned in for this impromptu show. I got to get rolling because I got the round table and shortly. Calix has got things to do too. You know what I mean? So that is the show. Thanks to everybody that tuned in. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out.
God bless.
Peace, guys.
Peace.